Coming to you from the M&M Exterior Studio in Nokesville, Virginia, this is Flushing It Out with Samantha Spittle, the introvert's extrovert.
She talks to people so you don't have to. For now.
And we're back on Flushing It In. This is the Reverse Podcast. I'm Matt Jennings. I am the extrovert's introvert. I'm here with my guest, Samantha Spittle.
Hey.
The host of this podcast, ordinarily, except not today.
Not in Bizarro World.
Now she is the introvert's extrovert, but she is in the spotlight. And we're trying to learn more about her, which hopefully we did in the first half of the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in the pit stop, hopefully.
And now we're just going to dig deeper.
Yeah, that was like a I was going to say black and white, but like that was a historical walk.
So,
memory lane.
Well, yeah, a little bit, but and in between, we went to dinner.
Yeah, we did.
At a restaurant.
Favorite.
We won't. They're not.
Oh no, we can.
I don't think there's a problem to name Hector's.
They're not a podcast sponsor. Why would we give them a free plug?
Because we love them.
That's a good.
They are that good.
We love them.
They're really good.
I'm one of the sponsors, and I'm okay with it. I approve this message.
Totally okay with it.
Well, I don't, so we can say that, we could say it was Hex, but not Horse, because half. Anyway.
We went to a restaurant that's a Mexican place that started with Heck
with an
and
H.
ends with Ors.
Yeah, and it's in Nokesville.
Horse. But anyway, at dinner, we had an interesting experience where we were brainstorming questions for the second half of the show. Mm-hmm. And you were asked, what is your favorite color? And do you remember what you said? Because I remember exactly what you said.
I said, I used to say pink.
Right. Mm-hmm. And then you stopped right there.
Mm-hmm. Hard stop. Mm-hmm.
No, actually, then she changed the subject.
Probably. And then you lawyered me. And
Well, I just pointed out that was not at all an answer, and I thought that it was a very interesting way of phrasing it, because not only did it mean that is not currently your favorite color, but even when you were saying that it really wasn't.
Possibly. It's because I didn't know.
And then you gave a longer answer that said like 3 different things.
Yeah. And
which was that pink was the color that made you happiest.
Yeah.
Right? But that you didn't really have a favorite color because you like all colors. It's like, how could you pick a favorite color? They're all wonderful.
Yeah. Well, and it's just a color. And so, like, do I really need to have a favorite? It's just like moving around. Like, as long as I'm happy with the current color I have.
What was the favorite place you lived? Well,
it doesn't matter. As long as I had a good experience at each one, then I'm happy.
So I think you used to say pink just because it was just an easy thing.
Yeah, probably.
It's a lot easier than explaining all that other stuff.
Wow. Amen. Yes.
You're like, well, actually, that's an interesting question. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you about colors and how I feel about them.
Yeah, exactly. I learned to just be like, I need a favorite.
Pink.
Boom, pink.
It was pink, and no one's going to question it.
Yeah, I just needed.
They're not going to go.
Favorite.
What color's chartreuse again? Like, they're not going to. Yeah. You don't want to give
like
them
a puke green.
Yeah, you don't want to say ape snot, and they'll be like, well, what's that? Why would that be your favorite? They're not going to question it. You say pink. They're like, okay.
Yeah, they're like, that's logical.
Where on the color wheel is ape snot?
Well, is the ape sick or not? Because that determines the color of the snot.
I think I'm talking about a standard issue snot from an ape.
Okay, got it. Google that.
No infection.
Blow into this tissue.
No.
They're not dehydrated or anything.
So is it more green or yellow?
So are we doing?
Well, it's one of those colors that you ask yourself that. Is
so
this
are
more
apes
green or
normally
yellow?
sick? So are we doing what's your vision for this full flush after show?
I told you what my vision for the first half was, and I didn't really feel like it went that way.
Well, remind the listeners.
For the Bizarro podcast, can it be full retention?
This is the full retention.
Yeah,
is what it is.
Full retention.
We're not flushing it out.
We're not flushing anything.
Okay.
We're retaining it in.
We're letting it mellow.
All right. Well, recap for our listeners. What was your vision for the first one?
Jeremy's the only one that got that.
Yeah, I just pushed it.
It's yellow, let it mellow. If it's brown, flush it down.
I got you. I totally got that.
We're letting it mellow.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in that. So, so what was your vision for the first podcast?
I really want to dig into why do you do this? Why do you want to do this? What made you want to start a podcast? Because when I was on before, I had a handful of people that I didn't know, but they had listened to the podcast, and then I met them, and they felt like they knew me and stuff because I'd been on the podcast and talked about myself and whatever. And it was a very
surreal,
unsettling experience for me.
Oh, so you regret coming on the podcast?
No, I didn't really regret it, and I wasn't embarrassed by it or anything like that. I was just bashful, I think is the word. It just made me feel odd that, because I told you I have the anti-desire for any kind of fame or notoriety.
So, you know what? I didn't mention this on the first episode that we, the pit stop. But I just realized something. So, and it ties into why I want to do the podcast. So at dinner, you asked me, why do I want to do the podcast? And I said, because I want people to feel connected and less alone.
Right. And you feel like you're a facilitator for that.
I hope so. That's my goal.
And that's the point of the podcast, isn't it?
Yeah. I want to share people's stories. I want other people to be able to listen in and either connect with them in some way or learn a new perspective, gain some sort of, information, clarity, wisdom, something that they wouldn't normally get in their everyday life. And as I said earlier, it's like we live in such a niche down world or niche down, everything's like, if you want to listen to something so specific, but what about just talking to people because we're people? Everyone has a story. Everyone has, we all function in a way because of our past. And of course, we don't get into that on every episode. But I just think the more understanding you have for people, the more grace, the more compassion you have. And not only does it help you relate to people better, but I think it also helps you relate to yourself. When you hear other people's stories, I think you have permission to live out your own story. And so that is something I'm passionate about. And so going back to my acting, yes, I grew up loving the idea of acting. I wanted to be an actress. But when I got to high school and was thinking more about it, I realized that if you're an actor, and no disrespect to any actors, I don't mean this by any means. This is my 15-year-old
We wouldn't
self.
want to offend all the actors who are listening.
I do not want to, because that, I don't want this quote to come back and bite me.
Right.
But I felt like, if I want to impact people and I don't want to just read lines and just simply be a performer, I want to connect with people.
Yeah.
And I want to, just, go deep with people in a non-weird way. So, maybe a little bit of a weird way that involves inappropriate humor, but not, creepy weird way.
Well, I was going to say that I felt a little bit, and I told you this too, and I feel like
it's probably an insult. Whatever it is you're about to say, it's probably an insult.
Did I say something insulting? Sorry.
I'm just kidding. You said you wanted to make me cry this episode.
Shit,
so
what was the thing that I said that was insulting? Was there more than one?
No. So many. Sorry.
No, I said I felt like a little bit in the first part that I think you like being in the spotlight, but you like it to be your spotlight. Mm-hmm. You like it to be a spotlight that you control.
Totally.
And I felt like when it was turned on you and I was asking you, you were a little bit impenetrable, like a fog.
I felt like I was sifting through the mind and giving you the answer. Boom, I've processed this. Here you go. Oh, but dang, that's me.
I felt like you were processing verbally. Maybe.
I always process verbally. Yeah, for sure. I always process verbally. Yeah. But yeah, you're right. I just literally explained me telling you the solution instead of you getting to the solution. So you're right. Yeah, it is on my terms. Yeah.
Well, anyway, I told you I'm gonna try to take a little more control. Perfect. It's not my personality, really.
Melody? Is it not his personality to take control?
I'm happy to be more passive, to be honest.
Really? Melody, can you confirm or deny?
Why are you trying to start a fight? What are you doing?
I just wanted to know if what you said was true.
I am a sit back and let things happen person, and if she says otherwise, it's not true. I am.
I think she heard.
I see it.
You want to make her cry?
I say
she's trying to make you cry now.
Oh, wouldn't that be funny if we all cried? That would be great.
There's nothing funnier than crying.
Oh, it's so good.
You're right. It'd be
so
amazing.
Good.
Now, that was a stated goal. That you're either going to get angry and yell at me or cry.
That's the goal?
Part.
That's setting the bar so high.
If not, is it?
Yes. Oh my gosh. To bring up that level of emotion, that's not something that just easily gets thrown out there.
Well,
I'll say, what would be your goal in that? Why would you want to make her so angry that she wanted to karate chop you, or why would you want to make her sit here and cry?
it would
Great question.
Because it would be real, is what I was thinking.
You don't think I'm real?
No, I think you are. I think you're very genuine. I just think you're
Curated?
What an interesting term. I like that. You're the curator of your own mind. Yeah, there's your book right there. That's Curate Yourself.
Oh my gosh, look up the domain name right now and buy it before someone takes it and this episode airs.
We will before it airs.
You're going to have to explain to a lot of people what curate means, but... Yeah. You are uninhibited in many ways, though. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. Ish. Yeah.
I mean...
I think that there's ways that I'm uninhibited. I think that I am guarded. I do have boundaries in certain areas of life. There's just some areas I don't have them in.
Yeah.
And it's either because I'm hella naive and I hadn't had life experience to have me learn those lessons, and or the opposite. I have. So I was explaining on the pit stop that I learned early on, like, we will use the classic, it's getting old at this point, shit your pants thing. Okay, so I have told that story. I was recently at a meeting.
And just, a huge majority of people would be horrified to share that publicly.
Yeah, and
let alone the number of times you have.
Exactly. and I always say that I originally was
like if there are people who haven't heard that story yet, you'd like them to.
Yeah, I was going to take that to my grave. I mean, that's the whole point, is that I was horrified
and
when
now
that
you're
happened.
Free
because I found
of that, in a way.
Because I found that when I started telling people, most of the people I told had done it.
Oh yeah, I mean,
and that's what pissed me off.
That's similar.
That's like the point of the podcast. That's part of the point, is that I was pissed that I did something that I thought was so just unredeemable. Like, if people found this out, how am I going to live? How are people going to see me? Holy crap! Do you know people have done it? And then it's like, dang, statistically, it's not if, it's when, people. And so I just feel like I've done my research.
Well, you don't have to get all technical about it.
So
that's funny.
And that is tied into the mission. But so everything.
You're not the only one. You're not alone. It's a normal
everything.
thing.
And so
you're not weird. You're normal.
And then if I felt that bad, and forgive me, regular listeners, if you've heard this, but it's like, if I felt that bad out of something so trivial, which is a normal human function, when when your body gives up on you.
It's a normal human function.
Yeah. And so if I felt that bad over it, imagine how people feel when they make mistakes that they were in control of, that they made a horrible decision.
Yeah.
Does that mean they can't come back from it? Does that mean that they need to live in the dark and live in shame? No.
Yeah.
We need to live in the light. And so if shitting my pants is the cross I have to bear, Yeah. But if that helps open up open dialogue, if that helps people feel that they can walk into the light, then I am actually cool with that. Even if people lean to Melody during a meeting and say, I can't believe she just admitted that. Yeah. I'm okay with that. If that's my biggest thing, whatever. Who cares?
Well, it is. It's in some ways inspiring. It makes people feel like maybe they can share something that they wouldn't have.
That's the whole point, is that here, like, you can share something you thought that you were going to take to the grave. Yeah. That's actually the thing. If you have something that you feel like you were going to take to the grave, I encourage you to share it with someone. Maybe it's not meant to be. No. Okay. No, my caveat, if caveat's the right word, is not that it's meant to necessarily be shared publicly. It's not that you're meant to start a podcast based around it. Maybe it's something you're meant to share with a friend, a spouse, a pastor, a therapist, somebody. But I never want anyone to feel that they have to take something to the grave, because that's not something people should carry around with them.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of things that...
There's fucked up stuff that happens. I'll just say it. There is some fucked fucked up stuff that happens. I'm sorry, listeners, for the harsh cursing, but that is what happens in life.
I feel like we're on the edge of getting angry.
We'll beep it out.
Because you're getting my passion. Like, you're
fired up.
You
Let's
are
go.
tapping into my passion because that's the thing. That stuff happens and people either A, don't talk about it, B, they shove it under the rug, C, they forget about it. And if we keep perpetuating it by not talking about it, how are you ever going to? And so I feel like shitting your pants is an easy thing to throw out there amongst mixed company, amongst a business meeting. You're not going to drop like some serious trauma somewhere publicly, okay? And you shouldn't, because there's boundaries. But if this is something that can kind of throw it out there to be like, to plant the seed to say, oh, maybe I don't have to carry around this shame. Maybe, and if I say something like, I was going to carry this to the grave, if that touches someone and they have something that they were going to carry to the grave, and they can find a safe person, not necessarily post it on Facebook, not spread it around to everyone, but find a safe person, then mission accomplished.
Well, and it's interesting, too, because I think modern society, many people feel this way, or I certainly feel this way about many people, but our lives are you use the word curate. I mean, I do feel like people are putting out there what they want to be seen. Social media especially, you know, because you control what you put out there.
Yeah.
And, you know, nobody's putting out there the really bad things. They're putting, you know, for the most part.
And that's, I mean,
your friend got stuck in the mud. He did post that, but that's kind of funny.
Well, but that's what's hard is that if you do really post all your stuff out there, then that's not good either. Because that's like, whoa, you need to have boundaries.
Too much information.
Yeah, so I never want to fault people for curating a certain presence online because it's a very difficult road. It's also, when you share your story, you're not sharing just your story. There's other people involved in your story. Unless it's like mine, with shit in your pants. But I have more, you know, there's
there were victims of that.
There were victims. There were. But so it's not the same for everyone. The solution isn't tell everybody, make a joke out of it, start a podcast. It's different for everyone. But living in the light.
But connecting to people.
And feeling less alone. So whatever it is that you feel alone about, you're not the only one. Whether it's something trivial or something serious, you're not the only one. Well, and if I can shine a light or provide something, hope, guidance, inspiration, motivation, whatever, then mission accomplished.
So how do you continue to do that? What's the...
Well, right now, to keep from being overwhelmed, it's hone the craft, continue to build the podcast, continue to get inspiring guests like this episode. See what I did there?
Yeah.
That was good.
I know. I was really proud of that.
good.
That like came to me as I was talking. Continue to just grow. As I said, like hone the skills and work out the mission. I have been struggling since it started to kind of really hone in on the mission. And I think that this is really right in this moment helping me really hone in on the mission.
I think you're right. I mean, I think this is the...
We've come a long way since our breakfast meeting when you grilled me about it.
I didn't intend to grill you. But, I mean...
It was perfect. It was needed. Thank you.
Talk about foggy.
Yeah. It was,
to start off, you didn't really know what it was.
Yeah.
Or what you wanted it to be.
Correct.
I mean, you did somewhere you knew, but you couldn't really articulate it. And it's taken you probably 30-something episodes.
Yeah, it's 6 months.
To really figure out, okay, this is what this is.
Yeah.
I mean...
And it may change. That's what's cool, too. And I think I feel more comfortable and confident with that it can change. Because I used to...
It should change.
Exactly. So I have a hard time writing in journals.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've told a story related to this before, but I found one of my old journals, and it was from 5th grade, and I wrote about, who my teacher was, and my friends, and who I had a crush on, and it was written in pen, and when I got to the name of the boy I had a crush on, I had written his name in pencil.
Even then, you were planning ahead.
I was like, I do not want to write his name, because if I end up not having it, if he ends up being a jerk, I don't want to have in pen that I liked him.
This will be memorialized for all time.
Yeah. So I couldn't believe in 5th grade. I was like, I'm not writing this down. So I think I had a problem. Excuse me.
So when you found it, did you erase and write Jeremy in?
Yes. In 5th grade, I had a crush on him before I knew him.
No, I mean when you found your journal recently is what I meant.
Or had the name been erased?
Was it just blank?
I think it was baby blank.
That
I think I was like, screw that.
Could you see what you had written? Like, was it fully erased?
It was probably like at least 2 names. I think I put in. I think I was like a little Greg, a little Shane. I think I moved it around.
Greg and Shane.
Yeah.
Yeah. Names have been changed to protect the innocent. No, they weren't. That was their real names.
What were their last names?
So let's drill down on that. Where were you living in 5th grade?
Oh, if you listened to the podcast last time, you should have known. So go back and do your homework.
The one we just did?
Yeah.
You were vague.
No, I wasn't. I was hardcore, and I told you the years and the dates.
No, I don't think that's at all
Next question,
true.
please.
No, you're like, I don't know. We lived in New Jersey and Kansas, and I can't remember, whatever. We bounced around. And you were in Germany.
Yeah.
Where in Germany were you?
Würzburg and Wertheim.
Where is that? Where are they?
I thought you wanted to go to the hard-hitting questions.
No, I'd rather talk about Germany.
I don't know where they are. I can't remember.
Right.
But I lived
Doesn't
there
matter.
when the Berlin Wall came down.
Okay.
Yeah.
1989? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Fascinating stuff here, people.
not really. Okay.
Call out all of my
There's
BS.
a difference between... Well, this isn't BS. Well, it is, but in a positive way for you. There's a difference between self-deprecating and, like... Sometimes you say things that are a little harsh on yourself that are, I don't think, fair or true. None of us thought it was fair or true.
That's awesome. Thank you for telling me that. That is part of the reason I say it. So that actually
So
goes...
that will affirm you?
Well,
or what?
no, because that goes back to carrying around the stuff. So a lot of people think crappy stuff about themselves, but
Yeah.
they don't tell anyone.
Right.
So I like to tell people what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So if it's true, they can either say like, yeah, you're not that
So
great
if
at that.
people say nothing, are you like, oh, I guess I am?
Yeah, I guess I am. And if
Seriously?
no, I mean, I'm not necessarily that calculated, but it just goes back to I don't like holding on to stuff that makes me feel crappy. If something inside of me is making me feel bad,
Just get
I
it
want to
out.
get it out.
Just-
And it's
yeah.
like, so either then call me out that's BS.
Yeah.
Because how many of us have negative self-talk that you need someone to call you out on?
Yeah.
So if I have it, I want to say it because I'm feeling it. Like
Yeah.
it's coming from somewhere. So either if you're my friend, like call me out or say, can I help you with that in some way?
Yeah.
Like, why do I want to carry this around? It sucks. I don't
Come
want
on the
anyone else to carry
podcast.
it
We'll
around.
talk about it. We'll flush it out.
Yeah.
There you go. Not today,
Yeah.
though. We're retaining today.
I mean, flush it in.
I'm keeping it in
Yeah.
today.
Does that make sense?
It's the constipation.
Like, and I think that
podcast.
there's a thing where there's a stereotype that fishing for compliments. You know, when people do stuff, it's like, oh, they're fishing for a compliment.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, but if someone's insecure, why shouldn't they be lifted up or something? You know, so I think
What's bad about that?
exactly. I think
Yeah.
we should flip
I agree with
ourselves
that.
and say,
I agree with that.
what do they need? You know.
I mean, if you can,
And sometimes I am just self-deprecating. I don't mean to make every comment I
Self-deprecating is
make. I
okay.
love self-deprecating, and I want to be self-deprecating in a positive-ish way versus negative. But I think when I am around a trusted group of people whose opinion I value, that is when I share some of my more honest self-talk with, because I
See,
do
and
want
this
to
is
hear.
what's fascinating to me, in the way that you think about it. Because I think many people, including probably myself, if I'm around people that I respect and like, and I want them to respect me, then I wouldn't tell them all the things that I think are bad about me.
If I
You know
respect
what I mean?
and
I would
like
want
you,
them to see the good things about me.
but I
I
want
think that's so interesting.
But I want it to be the real deal. I
Which
don't want.
part is? Hold on, Melody's got an answer. What?
She say it's scary.
No, I said it's insecurity.
Oh.
And truthfully, I hate to say it, but I know for a fact that when I personally self-deprecate myself or I put my own self down, it's because I am secure and I need someone to either confirm it or deny it. Like, that's when I do it is because I am vulnerable, and it's usually when I'm in front of others that I'm extremely intimidated and I'm nervous, and so therefore I'll say something, and then if anyone rebuttals it back, rebuttals that or denies that or confirms that I'm not that, then I'm like, thank God.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, okay,
Because it
maybe I was
relieves your
wrong.
anxiety.
Right, and I hate to say it, but like, you're a people pleaser. And what I see from you is sometimes you do it just to throw it out there, but sometimes you actually need it to come back as that you're not that. And
Yeah,
I can
for
tell
sure.
you that, Matt, I love you, you know this, but fact is you don't want to put it out there. You don't want to show any type of weakness or insecurity in front of the people that you really like and admire.
I don't have any.
That it's probably
But
true universally.
but that's a whole different type of insecurity to some extent. Like it's the flip side of that.
Everybody has their little things. I mean, there's self-deprecating, which is sort of like, making fun of yourself to put people at ease.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Like, you don't necessarily really mean it, but you're just being...
I think for me, I hate the feeling... So I suffer from imposter syndrome at times, which I know lots of people do.
What is that?
Just feeling like... So an example I use is in college as an English major. I was in a Shakespeare class. And there was, I was sitting there and I'm feeling insecure because I'm not getting the text, like I'm having a hard time, or like I think this is what this means, but I'm not sure. I'm insecure. And there was a guy in there who was very confident. He would always answer and like annoyed me. And so I remember I was talking to my advisor, who was awesome, and I was telling her my situation. Hey, I'm insecure about this. And there's this guy, and she was like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Like, he's just saying it, and you need to be more confident with what you're saying. Yeah. And so I went back in with like a new mindset, and I was able to like see him in the way she described him. Like, oh, he's just acting confident, but he doesn't know any more than me, and maybe I do know what I'm talking about, or whether I do or don't. And so I felt like when I was an English major that I felt like I was an imposter. Like I felt like I used to always joke, I'm not a real English major because I didn't read a ton of books. I had a really good English major friend who I love, and she would, talk about writing papers and reading books. Like she was so excited to do it. Like, I can't wait to go write this paper and dig this out. And I was like, oh man, I'm just like, that was not me. So I felt like I must not belong. And so once I had that Shakespeare experience and talked to my counselor and, excuse me, my advisor, it kind of helped shift my mind that, maybe I do belong. Maybe I do know my stuff. I just need to be more confident with it.
Yeah.
So getting back to, when I'm around the people I respect and like and everything, I don't want to feel that. I almost want to know if I like and respect you, I want you to like and respect the real me, not the version I'm showing you, because then I'll always question if that's authentic or not. So I want to put all my stuff out there with you so that we can...
lay my cards on the table.
Yeah,
here.
so I can be like, this is it or it's not. Other people like...
Well, and that goes back to moving when you were a kid. I mean, it's kind of a shortcut process.
Yeah. It's exhausting.
Look, I'm going to live here for the next year or two, and I want people to hang out with that I like and that like me.
Exactly.
So let's just get to it. Here's me.
This is
Are you
me.
into that or not?
So I think what I found, and I learned early on too, is that it is exhausting to try to be a version of yourself to get along with people. It's exhausting. But if you're you, then you can just be with people, And I feel like when you're you then give people permission to be themselves too.
So you don't believe it's okay to fake it until you make it? Or because kind of what you talked about in other podcasts where it's...
I think there's a level...
Other people give you the faith because they believe in you?
No, I think...
Kind of thing?
I think
that,
there's
to me, it all kind of relates around the same.
No, I think there's a certain level of, I love the term we talked about, like in our Mary Kay days. I used to, like, when you encourage and train people is like, ride on my belief in you until you have enough to believe in yourself.
Right.
So I think that is okay. And the whole fake it till you make it, I don't think it should ever be like faked, but I think it's that believe in what, if someone you like and trust believes in you, ride on their belief in you and walk forward in that, take baby steps in that. So I don't think it's black or white, like yes or no, don't, I think there's times where sometimes you do have to just suck it up and do the dang thing, even though you're scared shitless. Go do it, But I think being honest along the way as much as possible is definitely the way to go. But yeah, sometimes you do just have to step up and do it,
Because I agree with you. I don't like fake. And I think people see through fake. I mean, I think you got to be genuine. I mean...
but I think, like, push through until you feel you're there. Yeah, like I don't think you're ever going to feel ready. So like when I started the podcast, for example, I didn't totally feel, oh, I exactly know what I'm doing. It got to a point where I eventually had to say, we just got to do it. You know, I have to just record the first episode, because I was getting nervous to record the first episode because I said, okay, whenever anyone starts something and then they keep doing it and doing it, like we'll use Oprah, for example. You know, if you go back and look at her first talk show compared to like her later seasons, it's like, oh gosh. Oh. So then I'm thinking,
when she first started, she was just as bad as all the other ones.
Well, and
I mean, it was like, you know.
So then exactly what you just said, I had a hard time recording the first few podcasts because it's like, I know that even if I get better, even if I grow, then I'm going to have this thing where like, oh, do you remember back in the day? Like I had to get over that and be like, who cares? So it wasn't that I was faking it, but I had to just like pull up my boots or whatever the term would be. And I just had to do it. Yeah, my boots with the fur. I had to just put them on and do it. So that's why it's like this weird, it wasn't faking it, but I did have to like, girl, get it done. Yeah. You know, do it. Yeah. You might not feel ready, but go do it.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you got to start somewhere.
You got to just jump
really
in.
Do. And you know, anybody who's ever been successful in anything looks back at themselves when they first started and thinks, "Oh man, I wasn't very good back then."
And that was hard for me to swallow. Like I don't want to. Like I realized that I was to a point where I would rather do nothing to avoid that kind of critique. It's not even criticism, but like anything like that. And then just once again, eventually I got to the point of like, would you honestly rather live like that?
Well, yeah.
Or would you rather do it and try?
What are you going to wait until you can paint the Sistine Chapel? Or are you just going to start painting?
Yeah. Oh, great. Beautiful. That sounds so like intellectual. Thank you for that.
Well, that's kind of what you're saying, though.
It's totally what I was saying. Thank you for...
Look, I might be painting stick figures right now or whatever, but I'm going to start. This podcast is the stick figures of podcasts.
Whoa, really?
Saying.
Whoa, I would have thought at least it was a portrait.
So insulting. You will make her cry. No, I'm kidding.
That's amazing.
It's the finger painting.
Finger painting?
No.
I thought I at least had a
brush.
brush.
It's good. I mean, you know, it has struck a nerve.
It's not even paint by numbers?
This podcast. No, next year, maybe. It has caught on. People like it. People that listen to it continue to. Am I right?
I guess. I hope so. I don't know.
Now you're being all self-deprecating. And
there's some loyal flushers out there.
Yeah.
No, I think you're being a little harsh, because I think that the beautiful part about what she's done is, the first podcast.
I'm not being harsh at all.
Well, no, what I mean by that is I would actually look at your episode like 30 or whatnot that you just did, and listen to episode 1 back to back, and I'd be like, holy crap, how far have I come? How cool is that? Oh. And how much better have I gotten?
But I want to be good at one. I want one to be great.
Yeah, well, don't we all?
I mean, you know.
Don't we all? But
thank you, Rebecca. You're amazing. Thank you,
I
Rebecca.
had to go back and work on episode 1 because the sound wasn't that great.
Because you weren't even here for that episode.
Yeah.
I recorded on my own.
But if episode 30 isn't better than episode 1...
then there's a problem.
Right. And if episode 60 isn't better than 30...
yes,
right?
You're right. You're right.
Until you get to where it's...
oh, you're right. Dang.
Consistently amazing, whatever, then you'd want to maintain that. But until then...
You know
what I'm saying?
That is some crazy good mind shift work. Instead of looking at... I don't want to look back and see... the old one is worse as now, flip the script to I want to look forward and see that one is better.
Yeah.
Mind
make the next
blown.
one better than this one, and the one after that will be even better.
But that's what I keep saying.
And that's what you're doing, is what I'm saying.
That is what you're doing, and that's what I want to say, and that's what I was trying to say in the meeting a week or two ago.
Yeah.
Is I was going, number one, she was trying to figure out what she wanted to do and how she wanted to do it, and now every single episode has something that you can take away from it. It's got a little nugget. It's got a little something. Even if you go through 40 minutes of, yeah, I like it, but then all of a sudden there's this one thing that you just got to write down. But fact is the progression of where you've started and where you are now is beautiful.
It's night and day. It really is.
But that's one of those things that's
not bad. Okay, good. Thank you.
See, you're doing it again.
But that's
doing it again.
No, but that's one of
I
those
have
things.
issues. I'm going to go to therapy. Okay,
It was
fine.
good to start with, but you know, it continues to get better.
That's
and
awesome.
It will.
Thank you.
No, but that's where your
thank you.
confidence should go with it. Like, that's where you, the first podcast, you were like, oh, God.
This episode will be a
but
step
then now the
backwards.
next one, you're more confident.
But
I love it that my
You
episode
can blame
is the
that
step,
on the host
step backwards.
because it's
Yeah.
But
That's great. All right. Anything else? Last chance. This is it. It's because after this, I go back to being the boss. I go back to being in the hot seat. This is your last chance.
Final question.
Is this your final answer?
No, I think
No?
we're good here.
All right.
I think we're done. We'll do this again. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Matt.
Be sure to tune in next time where we'll be back to normal world.
Yeah. And in all seriousness, thank you, Matt and Melody from M&M Exteriors, for believing in me, believing in the podcast, believing in us. Appreciate your support.
You're welcome.
M&M Exteriors.
mmexteriors.com for all your roofing, siding, and gutter needs in the Northern Virginia area. They also do doors and windows as well.
Yeah, call Melody for that.
That's a wrap.
And that's a wrap for now.
Thanks for listening to Flushing It Out with Samantha Spittle. Music provided by twinmusicom.org. Song titled Night at the Dance Hall. Sound editing by me, Jeremy Spittle. A special thanks to our studio sponsor, M&M Exteriors. Visit their website at mmexteriors.com for all of your roofing, siding, and gutter needs in the Northern Virginia area. Visit our website at flushingitout.com and be sure to subscribe. This has been a Spitfire production.
That was the greatest thing I've ever heard.